Hi folks, this is Steve, the Cardboard Cultist, and today I'm going to be bringing you a playthrough of Cauldron Master. Cauldron Master is a 2 to 4 player set collection game published by Alley Cat Games. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of how the game plays, and then we're going to jump into some gameplay. So in Cauldron Master, players are taking on the role of a coven of witches, and each turn they're going to select one of 5 witches to send out and collect ingredients. At the bottom of the card you'll see some numbers and symbols, and this dictates what ingredients the witch selected can collect. So in the example of the apprentice here, they can draw 1 green or 1 yellow ingredient. The mage can draw 2 green or 2 yellow or a mixture, and so on. In the top left hand corner you'll see a number, and this dictates the turn order. So the apprentice is always going to draw their ingredients first, followed by the mage, and so on up to the goddess, who draws last but can take better ingredients if they're available. So when you draw the ingredients, you're going to add them to one of 3 cauldrons that you'll be working on. This cauldron here can take up to 2 ingredients, this one can take 3, this one can take 4, and ideally what you want to do is get multiples of the same color ingredient in each cauldron when you score it, because if you look down here there are numbers on the ingredients, and this dictates how many victory points you're going to get based on how many cards of a matching color. So in the case of these greens, if you've got 1 green in a cauldron, when it scores you'll get 1 point. If you've got 2 you'll get 3, 3 will get you 6, and 4 will get you 10. Green cards are the most common, so they get the least points, followed by yellow, followed by red. But in the case of red, you can only have a maximum of 3, but a set of 3 in a cauldron when it scores will give you 24 points. Other things to consider: this is the Hecate token, and this dictates who has the favour of the Hecate. And basically what this means is that if 2 players play the same witch, this is going to split the tie. So this is quite important, and this is going to pass from player to player. Also, each player is going to have a set of unique recipes that they'll be working on, and what this does is gives bonus points. So for example, with this recipe card, anytime player 1 completes a cauldron with 3 greens, they're going to get a bonus 2 points. If they complete a cauldron with a red, a green and a yellow ingredient, they're going to get a bonus 3, and so on. And these are unique to each player, so player 2 is going to have something different, and I'll show you that as they bring them along. I am playing with the expansion, so I'll just quickly go through that. This is one of the expansion cards here, and the expansion just adds some extra cards and a little bit of variety. So with this card, it works as a standard ingredient, but if when you score it, it's in with 3 other green ingredient cards, you're going to get a bonus 4 points. And you'll see these pop up throughout the playthrough, and I'll explain them as they come up. But I think for now we're just going to jump into some gameplay and see how it goes. So to start off with, both players would select a witch, and then they'd reveal and draw ingredients. So that's what we're going to do now. So looking at the ingredients we've got available, we've got some yellows, we've got some reds, and we'd really like to get our hands on some of those rarer red cards. So if we look through what we've got available, the only 2 witches that allow us to draw red cards is either the shaman or the goddess. Now I think we can take the goddess here because we do have the favour of the Hecate as well, so we're going to take that, and that's going to be selected in secret. And then over to player 2, they're going to be looking at their cards, and again they'd love to get their hands on some of these red ingredients. Now if they were to select the goddess, they'd be drawing second, so it's unlikely they'd get their hands on any of the red cards. So to ensure that they get a red card, they're going to play this shaman, and then even if player 1 has played their shaman as well, they're still going to get one of those red cards. So once both players have selected, cards are going to be flipped over, and the number 4 shaman is going to draw first, so they're going to take one of these red ingredients, and then they can either take a green or a yellow. Well, green, like I said before, are the most common, but we have got one of these special cards here that might give us some bonus. So we're going to take that and we're going to put that in our 4 cauldron. And we're going to start working on that. And the red card we drew is going to go in our 3 cauldron. And throughout the game we're trying to get a set of red cards in there ideally. Now player 1 is going to take their cards, and they can take 2 of any colour. So they're certainly going to be taking 1 of these reds, and they're also going to add that to their 3 cauldron. And they're going to take 1 of these yellows, and they're going to put that in their 4 cauldron. They're going to try and get a full set of yellows in there. At the end of the turn, the Hecate token passes over to the next player, and we draw back up to 8 ingredients. Okay, and here we've got another one of the cards from the expansion, and this one is Vampire Fangs. And again, it acts just the same as a red ingredient, but if we can put it in a cauldron with a bat, when we score it we're going to get a bonus 4 points. So that's a nice little card there. Okay, and both players are going to select a new witch to send out and collect ingredients with. Well, we've still got some reds, but unfortunately we don't have the favour of the Hecate now as player 1. So we could take the Shaman. Well, since the Shaman and the Goddess are the only 2 that can actually draw red cards, we can actually take the Shaman quite safely because player 2's already played their Shaman. So we're going to select that and try and get hold of that red card. And player 2 is going to look through theirs, and well, they've got a good idea that they're not going to get that red card if they play their Goddess. So they'd like to get a couple of those yellows maybe. So I think they're going to play their Mage, so as they can get hold of some of these yellow cards. So again, both players would reveal. And the Mage is going to draw first, and they can take 2 green or 2 yellow. But I think they're going to, well actually they were working on this 4 card green, so they could continue work on that, but I think they're going to take their 2 yellow because they are worth a few more points, and they can always pick up green as the game goes on. And they're going to have to put it in this 2 cauldron, I think, which means they're going to score it right away, but that's okay, I'll score that in a minute. And then player 1, who's got the Shaman, they are going to get this red, and that's going to go in their 3 cauldron, and hopefully they can get a bat to go along with that. And as their second card, they're just going to take 1 of these greens, and they're going to add that to their 2 cauldron, I think. So, any cauldrons to score? Well, yes, there are. We've got this 2 cauldron down here with 2 yellows. And if we look at this, 2 yellows is going to be worth 6 points. There's no bonuses from the recipes, so that's 6 points, and those cards get discarded. And player 2 is up and running. And now we're going to fill in and draw back up to 8. There's some really nice artwork in this game as well. Okay, and we're back to selecting our witches. So player 1, well, they're looking at that red bat and they're wishing they could get their hands on it because that would have been perfect for their 3 cauldron, but unfortunately they've got no way to draw red cards, and you have got to play all your witches before you can get the ones you've played back. So I think they're gonna, well, the Hecate's going to come over to them as well. That needs to move. I need to remember to do that. So I think they'd be quite happy just getting that yellow for now. So they're going to play their apprentice and just ensure that they can secure that yellow. Meanwhile, player 2, well, they know that player 1 can't get their hands on that red, so they're actually in no rush right now. They can wait a little while and see if a second red turns up, because they can still pick it up with the Goddess. So, well, they'd like to grab some greens anyway to try and finish off this 4 cauldron over here. So they're going to play the herbalist this turn. Once again, once everyone's selected, both players would reveal. And player 1's going to draw first with the apprentice, and they're going to snag this yellow. They're going to add that to their 4 card cauldron up here. Meanwhile, player 2 has taken the herbalist, and they can draw 3 greens or yellows, but unfortunately there are no yellows. But they don't mind that, they're just going to grab 3 greens, and they're going to finish this 4 card cauldron off here. So again, any cauldrons that are complete would score. So let's score the 4 cauldron up here. And this gives us 4 greens, 1, 2, 3, 4, but one of them is this bonus green card from the expansion, the Beetlejuice. And that gives us a bonus 4 if we've got 3 greens, which we have. So a total of 4 greens gives us 10 points, plus a bonus 4 is 14. That puts us on 30 points over there. Still nothing for player 1. They're playing the long game. And then once more we draw back up to 8. Plenty of yellow cards coming out now, that's quite nice. The Hecate token moves over. And players are going to draw their witches once more. So not a lot of choice now for player 1. But they would like to get these 2 yellows, so I think they're going to play their mage and hopefully try and grab some of those yellows. Meanwhile, player 2, well, they've still got the goddess, and they're quite safe with that red. They know they can get it because unfortunately player 1 can't draw any red, so they can just wait on that until next turn, and maybe another red will turn up. But they're going to play the apprentice. Well, that's going to secure one of those yellows for them. So once more, players flip, and the apprentice is going to draw first, and they're going to take one of these yellows. Now their recipe, they get bonus points for toadstool images or 3 yellows. Now unfortunately there aren't any toadstool images, so they're just going to have to settle for one of these fairy wing ingredients. And they're going to pop that in their 4 cauldron and try and build their way up to that. Player 1 meanwhile, they're going to get to draw 2, and they'd like this yellow to add to their 4 cauldron. And they're just going to take one of these greens as their 2nd cauldron, and they're going to pop that down there, and that's going to score that cauldron here. It's just needed 2 cards here, and they've got 2 greens. 2 greens is worth 3 points, so it's a pretty modest start for them, but it gets them up and running. And once more we're going to fill back in. Okay, we've got another one of the expansion cards here. What's this? This is rabbit ears, and if this is accompanied by 2 yellow ingredients, it gives us a bonus 4, so that's a nice card. But now both players have only got one card left. I'm going to move the Hecate over. It goes back to player 1, and these can just be revealed at this point. And player 1's going to draw first, and they're going to draw 3. So they're certainly going to be taking that rabbit ear, and that's going in their 4 cauldron. And then they're just going to take 2 greens. It doesn't matter which 2, they're not too worried. Sometimes the illustrations are going to matter, and you're going to be able to either take cards away from your opponent that would score them more, or get some more yourself. But anyway, these 2 are going to go in their 2 cauldron, and that's going to score. I'll score those in a second. And now player 2 is going to draw, and they're going to take this red card that they've been eyeing up for a while now, and that's going into their 3 cauldron. And as the 2nd card, they're just going to have to take one of these greens, and they'll pop that in their 2 cauldron, I think, for now. Okay, so any completed cauldrons are going to score. Well, this is a big one for player 1 right here, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4 yellow, and 4 yellow gives us a total of 20 points. But we've also completed the rabbit ears potion, because we've got 2 yellows along with the rabbit ears, so that gives us 4 points for a total of 24 points. That's a nice score. That puts us on 27, so we're ticking along quite nicely there. I don't think any other cauldrons have scored. Oh, actually, one other cauldron did score for player 1, and that's this 2-card cauldron. And this just gives them 3 points, but they all count, so we'll add that up. And once more, we pass the Hecate token over to player 2. And now all the cards have been used, so we get the full 5 back, both players, and we're going to go for it again. Now I have shortened the deck here, so there'll be a few more turns. I didn't want it to become too repetitive, but a full game will last a little bit longer than this typically. But let's keep going for now. And what have we got? Well, we've got a red card up, and both players would really like that red card, but unfortunately player 1, they can't do a lot about it. So what they're actually going to do, I think, is they're going to play their herbalist, because that allows them to draw up to 3 yellow. Well, no, actually they can just play their mage, because they're probably not going to beat player 2 to this red, because even if they select their shaman, player 2 can select theirs and they'll draw first. So, but I think what we'll do is actually we will select the herbalist, because then we can beat player 2 to these 3 yellows, hopefully. So player 2, well, they really need that red, so they're going to play their shaman. They haven't really got a lot of choice in that, because they're desperate to get their hands on that red. So once more, both players reveal, and player 1 with the herbalist is going to draw first, and they're going to draw these 3 yellows, which is really nice for them. And that's going to go straight in their 4 cauldron. Meanwhile, player 2 with their shaman is going to draw 1 red, green or yellow. Well, they're certainly going to take that red for that, and then a green or yellow, and unfortunately they're going to have to make do with the green here. So Hecate goes flying off on its broom, but this 2 cauldron here scores for 3 points, and this 3 cauldron here scores for 24 points. That's really nice, 3 reds. Putting them on 57. That's a really good score. Meanwhile, nothing completed on the other side. So once more, we're going to draw back up to 8. And we're coming to the end now. There's not many cards left. What happens at the end game is if we can't fill back up to the full 8, the game automatically ends, and we have to complete cauldrons if we want to score them. So any incomplete cauldrons aren't going to score. So it's really important at the end of the game just to fill up your cauldrons any way you can. So anyway, players are going to select a new... Hecate moves over once more. I've got to remember to do that. But players are going to select a new witch, and I think player 1, with the favour of the Hecate, is going to select their shaman to make sure they can get their hands on that red one. Meanwhile, player 2, well, again, they're in the situation of trying to beat the other player to this yellow. So maybe they're gonna take the apprentice, I think. That's going to be that. So then both players reveal. The apprentice is going to draw first, and they're going to draw that yellow, and then the shaman, they're going to draw that red, and that is the bat that they want for their 3 cauldron. That's perfect. And they're also going to draw a green, and they're just going to pop that into their 2 cauldron. They might not get that finished, but never mind. Now we're going to score cauldrons, and this 3 cauldron here for player 1 is going to score. And let's have a look at this one. So we've got 3 red, which is worth 24 victory points, But we've also got the expansion card Vampire Fangs, and if that's accompanied by a bat, we get a bonus 4. Let's see, there we go, there's the bat. So a total of 28 points. That's a huge score right there. That puts us on 58, so it's a really really close game between the two players here, and we'll see if we're going to get another round in. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, it looks good, but this is likely to be the last round now, so players are going to make sure that they finish off these cauldrons. The Hecate moves over to player 2, and I think player 1, well, they just need 1 yellow to finish off this big 4-card cauldron. Yeah, I think they're just gonna play it safe, and they're gonna select that apprentice. Meanwhile, player 2, well, what can they do? They need 2 yellows, so they'd love to try and finish that off. So the lowest card that they can select with 2 yellows on is the mage, so they're going to select that and hope that player 1 selected their mage too. Both players reveal. Player 1 has drawn the apprentice, so they're gonna draw first, and they're gonna take this frog's blood here, and they're gonna add that to their 4-card cauldron. And now player 2, they can draw up to 2. They would love to have drawn 2 yellows, but unfortunately they can't. So they're gonna take this yellow, add that to their 4 cauldron, and they're gonna take this green, and they're also gonna add that to their 4 cauldron. Now both players are gonna score their cauldrons, so let's have a look. Player 2 has got the 4 that they need to fill in this 4 cauldron. Unfortunately, they've got 1 green in there, which is going to be worth just 1 point. And then they've got 3 yellows worth 12 points. And they've also got a toadstool card in there, so that's worth a bonus 2 points. So that's a total of 15 points there. That's not too bad. That puts them on 72. And then over on the other side, well, player 1's managed to get another 4 yellow cauldron finished, so that's worth 20 points. No additional bonuses there, but 20 points. That's going to put them on 78. So they're just going to sneak ahead and win it, and let's just see if there's another round, but I don't think there will be. No, that's the last card, so unfortunately we haven't got 8 cards up, so that ends the game. Any unfinished cauldrons like this one here, they don't score. So player 1 takes the win with 78 points, player 2 just behind with 72. But hopefully this has given you a good idea of how the game plays, guys. The expansion adds some nice little strategic elements and makes those common green ingredients a little bit more interesting. You also get the Hecate meeple, so it's a nice improvement over the Favourite the Hecate card that you get in the base game. But don't worry if you're just using the base game, it's still a great little game, great artwork, and overall well worth checking out. But until next time, guys, thanks for watching and take care.